Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pages to Pixels, the best movie podcast. I am Kevin. That's Kirtana and Rohan, and today we're going to be talking about Frankenstein, directed by Guillermo del Toro. Um, this is a movie that I think a lot of people were pretty excited about. Guillermo del Toro has pretty much been in this space, this like horror fantasy. Um, he's kind of carved out that niche for himself, especially with the way that he tells stories. And I mean, he just retold Pinocchio, so this is another retelling movie. Um, I think Frankenstein really fits into his repertoire, um, kind of reminding me of The Shape of Water, even though I haven't actually seen that movie, to be honest. But
It's
uh,
great.
yeah, I feel like it's got some similarities going on.
Mhm. It does.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, it was a very interesting watch. I'm not a fan of body horror or like people cutting into things or like blood. And there was a lot of that. There's that whole section where like he's creating the monster, and they didn't hold back. Like they really went for it. Like you see the organs, and then you see like all the layers, and you see him peel them back and all of that. Um, I just so overall, in general, I quite liked the movie, but I just wanted to get this out of the way, and just say that I just was like my eyes were half closed the whole time. I was just waiting for that sequence to end.
You should watch NBC's Hannibal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I'm very aware of what that's about. Um, but no, I will say that to their credit, to the filmmakers' credit, everything was incredibly realistic. Like I was just, it was so gross, but it was very believable.
Yeah, I thought the effects, whether they were practical or VFX, although some of the VFX definitely
Yeah.
looked a little odd to me.
Hmm.
It was stylized well enough to where it didn't necessarily matter much. But there
Yeah.
was definitely some moments where I could tell the VFX were lacking. But I agree with you about like kind of the practical effects because I
Hmm.
think a lot, from what I heard, a lot of it was practical, and I think they did do a good job of that.
I quite like the way they built the narrative as well. Like where in the first, like for about half of the runtime, it's you see like Victor Frankenstein's point of view, and then for the second half of the whole thing, you see the monster's point of view.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will say, even though I liked it, I feel like now when I see movies like that, it's just so less. It's like the bar has been raised by weapons. I don't know if you agree with me, Kevin, but I feel
mhm.
like it's kind of raised the bar for that type of storytelling. And especially so soon after it, I was just thinking about weapons, and I'm like, damn, it felt so much more dynamic. Uh,
Yeah, they gave POVs to like everyone in that movie, and then in this one, I mean, it wasn't very surprising the way that they went it, but I did think that it was like done really well, especially because it has this like really cool cold opening, no pun intended, where they're like out in this like wintry like shipwreck. Um,
Mhm.
I thought that it just had like a really cool, like my favorite parts of the movie are that first, um, like those first like 30 minutes or so. I think it was really like just really magnificent to look at. And I really enjoyed how they kind of nestled us into this world. I feel like it
Mhm.
really
I do think that the world building was really, really well done. I think in terms of the writing and also just visually, it was such a spectacle. I could tell that they went for recreating some paintings, or at least that's the style they were going for. It was very evident, and I really, really liked it. I thought the cinematography was absolutely excellent.
yeah, Del Toro's movies, especially the ones where where it's more like the horror, the fantasy. Um, kind of taking out Pacific Rim, taking out Hellboy, the franchise movies. I feel like they always look super well. They always sound super well. They always, um, like just all the technical stuff. Just every piece of it fits so well that I think I think it just almost creates like this. Um, it creates like this calming, enchanting effect almost. Like it's like a weirdly meditative feeling watching some of his movies.
Yeah, considering they're all about monsters and like
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, no, but I know what you mean. Even in the sequence of like him building the monster, I think it was weirdly poetic.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't. So you know the guy who plays Jonah in Weep?
Yeah.
I thought he was playing the monster
No.
initially, and then I googled it and I realized it wasn't him. But I think that would have been a really cool, like a really cool thing to have happened.
Why did you think it was him?
I don't know. The monster kind of looked like him, and he was tall, and like that was his demeanor. And I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's got range." And then I realized it wasn't him.
No, it's Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
I think you may have just offended him and all of his fans by saying he looks like
Yeah,
Jonah from Veep.
I said what I said. I mean, I do know that his like he's got hordes of fans that are known to be pretty intense.
Hmm.
Yeah. But no, I thought the performances were also really good.
I I actually think that that might be my only gripe with the movie is I didn't like the performances that much. I was
Mm,
kind of not I didn't feel like they were that believable. And maybe that's like a problem on my end. I just didn't like I didn't like Elordi's Frankenstein the way that he like if which probably getting him even more hate than Kirsten Love, I was saying that. But I do think that um I don't know, and I'm not necessarily saying it's his fault. I just think that there's just like a clash between the character for me, the way it's written and the way that he's portrayed. Um, and then I also didn't think that Victor Frankenstein, that Oscar Isaac performance was that good for me either. Like I believe part of him, but then another part of me is like I just kind of see Oscar Isaac and he's kind of playing up a very hammy role. I understand this is probably not a popular opinion. Um, but yeah, that was just
It's
how I felt.
not. But okay, so I will say this. I am of the opinion where I do like the performances. Um that said, I do see where you're coming from because I do think there is a performative aspect to it. Like there isn't necessarily a lot of subtlety. These characters don't necessarily feel like um real people.
Hmm.
Um for me, I think it worked because the way everything was shot and especially with the score, I think Alexander Desplat was the composer. Um I think it did have a little bit of that storybook quality
yeah,
to it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And for me, that I feel like the performances fit, but I do get where you're coming from because um, there could be um, more nuance. They could feel more grounded, and they don't necessarily do.
Hmm.
I think just to kind of build on what you were saying, Rohan, I think the reason it worked for me is the same reason it didn't work for you, Kevin, which is that like I saw it more as a fantasy fairy tale retelling. So I wasn't expecting them to feel grounded. I wasn't expecting them to feel realistic. I was actually kind of happy that they weren't. So I think that's why the performances worked for me. Um, I will say that like I don't know, there was certain like so you know where the uncle dies, like
Yeah.
his brothers like his brothers like I don't know uncle-in-law he dies. Um, that was the biggest lull for me in the screenplay because it just kind of felt like um I couldn't understand like Victor's decisions after that for a little bit. I kind of just felt like he was making those decisions for plot reasons. Like him immediately wanting to kill the monster. I felt like they could have maybe leaned into the impatience for a little longer in terms of just like runtime, because I was like, you've created this thing like from scratch, and in a few months you're over like trying to teach it. Like, what's like, I don't get it.
Mhm. I agree. And there's a moment like later in the movie. I don't want to like. I guess I will say spoilers for this part, in case you haven't read. I guess I neither. But basically, Victor um shoots Elizabeth, who he had been like pining after. He shoots her because she tries to comfort the monster, and then like the monster grabs her, but like in a non-threatening way. Like they're both kind of like she's trying to save him, but then Victor shoots at her anyway, and then blames it on the monster immediately. Like I get blaming the monster, but it was more like, dude, you didn't even like take a second. He just immediately shot, like for some reason, and it was like I just didn't feel like I could feel bad for him by the
Yeah.
end. Maybe that's the point. Like I don't know. It felt like I was supposed to have more sympathy for him than I did.
Do you think that the reason, I mean, do you think that we were meant, do you think that for him as a character, do you think it came from, if I can't have her, nobody else should? Or it came
Um,
from the fact that he was just really upset that she chose this monster over him?
Hmm.
Honestly, I thought he was trying to kill the monster.
Interesting.
I just think he was overly cocky about his aim.
No, I actually thought when he entered that room, I felt more jealousy than anything else. When he entered that room and he saw her with the monster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Interesting. I liked, she was interesting. I thought she was not, there weren't too many dimensions to her. She was just kind of like a
Yeah.
catalyst in terms of plot. Like she showed up when they needed her to and to raise the stakes. But I love her hair.
Mhm.
It was, I don't
It's a
know.
pretty good
It was,
costume.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it just, it played so well into sort of like the world and kind of what she represented.
Could they theoretically make a bride of Frankenstein and she would be the bride? Like, I don't know if that's the,
Is that
I don't know if
what's
that's,
the movie coming out in a few months?
yeah.
I
We
don't
should
know.
have
I mean,
double
I
featured.
kind of, sorry.
I said we should have double featured with the bride.
No, well, I kind of thought that's the direction it was going in, but then she kind of died, so that's like, okay, I
Yeah,
guess not. Like, I genuinely thought that that's where this was going.
I did
Um,
too.
it was also such an interesting, like, internal problem for the monster to have, where he can't die, but he can't live either because he's always going to be outcast. It was interesting that his mind went to finding a companion. Like, I think if I were an immortal, powerful being, my mind would just go to like world domination or something like that. He just seems like he doesn't like fully grasp the power he's got, you know?
Well, no, I feel like he understands his power because especially with the at the ship, like
Right.
you know, he was able to. I mean, he was in rage and shaking the ship and killing people left and right. But then, um, he got into the room and he was like, "All right, let me tell my story." So
Yeah.
I feel like he was aware of his power and could control it.
So he's just a better person than me, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. I will say though that I still think Poor Things is my favorite retelling of the Frankenstein story.
Hmm.
Um,
mhm.
but this is a close second.
I feel like I don't consider Poor Things like a true adaptation. It has like it takes that trope or it takes that a bit of that concept, but it does feel like its own thing completely.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I went down this like train of thought. It was when he started learning things, right? Like he puts Victor puts him in the dungeon and he's like learning about like whatever. And then there's this little monologue where Victor says he doesn't know anything, he doesn't know light, he doesn't know darkness, whatever. That's when I went, because the story with Bella is basically the same thing in Poor Things.
Yeah,
It's her
yeah.
relearning society. I think that's where I saw the comparison. But that being said, I think I would have actually liked to see like the monster struggle with the world a little more, because even when he goes to that little cottage and he kind of like watches from the mill as these people live their lives and he kind of learns like life through them, I still thought that there wasn't a lot of like struggling with it. He just kind of accepted what was presented to him as life.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
agree with that on some level. Like,
hmm, sorry,
like
I'm a little bit confused.
So he's relearning life, right? Like he doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
know what things are. Um, and he goes and he's in that mill and he's watching this family live their life, and that's how he learns words. That's how he learns, what like life is and what
Right.
it's about. I just thought he was very accepting of it very quickly. Like he didn't really question
Okay.
like what was
Got it.
like
Got it.
happening. And I think I'm just saying that as an audience who was like, we all do that. Like we all accept life for what it is, like pretty quickly. Like we don't get the opportunity to really question it. It would have been cool to see a character do that, is what I was trying to say.
Got it. Um, yeah, I see. I can see that. I don't think necessarily bumped for me just because the way I saw it, it was like for him that's kind of all he's seen. It's
Yeah.
been the dungeon and then this, so I feel like that's why. For me it was like that was his um acceptance.
Wasn't the old man the guy that played uh Lord Frey?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Never thought I would feel pity for that guy because he plays uh oh my God, he plays Mr. Filch in Harry Potter.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
hated him then, and I hated him in
oh,
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had Tywin Lannister in this movie
Yeah, I saw
also.
that too.
Yeah,
Tywin Lannister basically played himself, and I was like, cool.
basically.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think Game of Thrones has forever ruined like British actors for me, because I will just see them in like living their lives and having a career, and I'll be like, but you are this person.
so I did have one thing that I did want to mention, which was there was an interview where Guillermo del Toro was talking about how this movie at its heart is like a very Spanish movie. And then another reason why I mentioned earlier where I was like, I'm not sure how much I see a lot of Oscar Isaac being Oscar Isaac rather than like the character of Frankenstein, is that Del Toro had said like um or I think it was an Oscar Isaac interview and he was like um thinking, oh, I don't know if I can really do this. And then Del Toro was like, there's a reason why my Victor Frankenstein's middle name is Oscar Isaac and then his real last name or something. Oscar Isaac Hernandez or something. He said that's
Huh.
the reason that's my Frankenstein. And then that's how Oscar Isaac really like got pumped up for the role. So even though I'm not like a big fan of the performance, I do think it's an interesting like um thing here where just like the direction, just like the way that that's portrayed on screen, I felt like I did sort of understand what Del Toro was saying. But I do feel like this movie does end up being a bit more traditionally Frankenstein by the end. Is that
Mhm.
just me?
No, I see what you mean. I quite like the
Yeah,
idea.
I will also say, if I were in Guillermo del Toro's shoes and Oscar Isaac is in my movie and he comes up to me and is having cold feet, I'm gonna be like, "Oh man, the role is made for you." Like,
Hmm.
so, so I could also just see Guillermo del Toro just having said that, and he's like, "Okay, well, I gotta stick by it now."
That's that's also true. I've heard of a lot of actors who need a little bit of, I don't know, like buttering up before
Yeah.
they go in and do their thing. It's interesting because when we were in film school, like we had to do an acting class, and um, I hated it. Like I'm just so not comfortable in front of the camera, especially when there's a script in front of me. And I remember until then, I never like considered that it was a skill set. Because I was just like, well, I guess they're just like showing up and saying their lines. And I remember we had Chris for that particular semester, and he was like, acting is the hardest job, like on set, like end of story. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And then I did the class and I was like, oh, I realized acting is the hardest job, like on set. Anyway,
We had our fair share of acting classes too.
Mhm.
We had to witness a dance at one point.
But what?
It's just a joke for Rohan. It's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
I did have one other thing, which is that I've been noticing a lot of people. I'm surprised that I feel like we're all on the same page that we like the way that this movie looks. But I've seen a lot of hate on Twitter for how this movie looks.
really?
Um,
Why?
yeah, I think they don't like the way that it's like been formatted for Netflix. I
Huh.
think that that's the reason. But like, I don't know. I mean, this is one of the better looking Netflix.
I agree. Um, and watching this movie is why I really hope Netflix is not by Warner Brothers. Because they will kill all the theatrical releases because I'm watching this movie and I wish it got a full theatrical release.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I actually had that thought too because when I was watching it, like some of the frames were just so beautiful, and also like I could really see the production value in some of the frames. So I was like, well, they spent good money on this project. Like it would have been cool to watch it like on a big screen.
mhm.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
really wish I could see this in theaters. I think it had a limited release, but
Mhm.
not anywhere I saw. So
Yeah, it's like those Netflix limited releases where, because I think technically, in order to qualify for the Oscars, and they may have added more, but Netflix kind of does the bare minimum where if you're playing for 1 week in LA and 1 week in New York,
Hmm.
you're qualified. Um, and Netflix
Interesting.
kind of will do that, or maybe a little bit more, just to meet that, just to check that box, and then they will, and then the movie goes straight to Netflix.
That's so interesting. I did not know that.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that it's there, but then I also, it's like, it's definitely there for like, hey, give your movie a proper release. Um,
Hmm.
mhm.
yeah,
Let's move
scores.
on to ratings then. Yeah, for those who are not familiar, we do things on the script coverage scale. Pass means that we didn't like it. Consider means that we thought it was just okay, and recommend means that we loved it. But despite that rating system, this is not a recommendation. It is just a score. So yeah, Kirtana, why don't you go first? What did you think of Frankenstein?
I'm gonna say it's a strong consider. And I didn't go the whole recommend because I didn't think it was life changing. Like
Mm,
it didn't like completely blow me away, essentially.
that's pretty fair.
How about you, Rohan?
I
Oh, sorry.
All right, who's going?
okay, I'll go. I'm fine. So I'm gonna say I agree. I'm going to give it a strong consider. I think the movie's pretty good. Um, I really enjoyed the environment and the storytelling in the first half of the movie. I feel like the second half of the movie kind of started to lose me, particularly when we got into the monsters point of view. Like I wanted to like it a lot more. It kind of just felt a little bit too safe for me, and I didn't really um like Frankenstein all that much as a like a monster as much as I wanted to, but I did enjoy that he was really gangly and was like tearing faces off. That was really fun. But yeah.
Y'all are haters. This is a recommend. No, but I mean, I don't know. I just really vibe with whatever Guillermo del Toro does. It's just, again, I can just watch his movies and kind of not think about or even forget about the story, and I can just sit with it. That's how I especially felt that with The Shape of Water, um, and even a little bit with Pan's Labyrinth. Not saying that those stories aren't bad, but even if the stories kind of didn't hold up much, it's just the feeling that the movie elicits for me. Those work, and I think the same thing for Frankenstein. Yeah, so recommend.
I'll
Very
always
cool.
turn up for one of his movies.
Yeah,
I wish I liked this one more, but I enjoyed this one more than Pinocchio personally. I thought it was a
Interesting.
really good movie.
oh, that's tough. I love Pinocchio.
I'll recommend a different Guillermo del Toro movie. Um, it is probably his lesser known one. And I think that and I also have this one on Criterion, but it's called The Devil's Backbone.
Okay.
Um, and that movie, I won't say entirely what it is, but I will say of like all of his movies, it's definitely one of the scariest, and it also has like that dreamlike quality that I think we were talking about earlier with like the cinematography, the way that's kind of like slanted and all. I feel like that's the movie where it kind of like from my memory feels like the early stages of that style like developing for Del Toro. So I think it's a really interesting movie to watch compared to the rest of his career. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't watched anything new, but I did see a piece of interesting news. So I'm gonna cheat because I want your thoughts on this.
Huh?
Um, Beef and Vendetta show got announced.
Yeah, I am so excited.
Yeah, I mean, we did a whole episode on the movie.
Hmm.
This is one of my favorite movies, and uh, I'm I'm very interested with what they do with the show.
Yeah. I think it's also the timing of it right now. I feel like a
Yep.
story like that is always going to be relevant, but today more than ever, I think it's we require that perspective. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and um, I know that I think the movie has gained some kind of like cult status, but I don't think it was big. Because apparently it got made, and then Warner Brothers was scared of the controversy.
Hmm.
So they didn't really push it. It was released, and they were like, "All right, everyone, stop talking about it." Um,
Mm.
so now I'm thinking that if this show is embraced, and then maybe others will also go back to watch the original
Hmm.
movie. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. You sent me that article and I was delighted to see it.
Yep.
Yeah. I watched this film called The Girlfriend last week. It was a Telugu film. Basically, I love the film. I have known about the project for a couple of years now. The director made it, and then it was just halted before release for a while because the production house didn't think that the movie would make their money back. So they wanted to. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand the logic of holding on to it, but like before release, because I feel like you already have the film, you might as well. I don't know. But the point is,
Hmm.
it stayed like the finished film was ready, and I think it stayed like there was a debate on how to release it, whether it should go straight to streaming or whether it should do theaters or whatever. And there was a lot of like waiting involved with the film, and then it finally came out like earlier last week, and I quite liked it. It's not made all that much money, which is kind of sad, but I mean, I kind of expected that anyways. But
Hmm.
if it's releasing where you guys are, you should definitely check it out. It's called The Girlfriend.
I
And I
haven't heard of it, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'll send across the trailer because I've been screaming about this movie from the rooftops for a long time now.
Can I ask, why do you think the movie is not doing well?
Oh, it's a very feminist film,
Mm, okay.
and it's just unfortunately what it is that those films just don't make money. Like I saw the same thing with if you remember a few episodes ago, I was talking about another film called Bad Girl, which
Hmm.
I'd watched when it released at a festival in LA, and then it finally came out here. And that movie didn't even break even. Like it just, um, like my understanding from what I've been told is that the theater going audience here in India for the first like weekend or so, it's usually not like families or women. It's usually like men who are either in college or are working. So if you don't appeal to them in the first weekend, you're not going to make your money back. That's the logic behind it. Obviously, I don't agree, but that's just what we've been seeing. There was a film called Loka, which came out. It was a Malayalam film, which actually you guys should check out. It's a superhero film. She's a vampire. And that movie made so much money. Like, I think they shot it for like 30 to 45 crores, and then it made like 130 back. Um, so you never know. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's a way of actually predicting what the audience wants. And I think the minute you start doing that, you stop being like honest to your story.
Do you think so? Do you think it's an audience thing inherently, or do you think it's more like the fact that even when these movies get made, the studios don't push them and promote them, so they're not even giving them like a fair shot marketing wise.
Oh, 100%. I think if you look at the numbers of it, like sometimes they won't even yes, they're not paying their female actresses as much as they're paying their male actresses, like male actors. Like that's the truth. Like that's what's
Hmm.
happening. But yes, the way they're marketed, the way they're pushed, it's completely different. And I actually think that an audience will watch a good film regardless
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
like who the protagonist is. It's about, I think that the challenging part is about getting them to the theater and watching that first show, because the minute that happens, I think if your story is good, it will ideally take you through.
Hmm.
No,
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that. And I also think like it's not even like uncommon like here in the US where like movies get sabotaged by advertising. I mean, just look at the way that A24 handles like most of their releases, no offense, but they've been like completely sandbagging the advertising on those movies and they haven't been making money. And then you
Hmm.
wonder why. You're like, yeah, because they're not marketing them well at all. And I don't they're marketing their brand more than they are their movies lately.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting. It's a whole different ball game. And sometimes sometimes I find it intriguing and I want to like understand it. But sometimes I feel like the minute you sort of get your head stuck in that world, it becomes hard to write what you want to write because you get caught up in like, will this sell? Will this make money? Like, who will watch this? And I think that is just unhelpful when you're writing. All right, with that, we come to the end of this week's episode of the Pages to Pixels podcast. I'm Kirtana, that is Rohan, and this is Kevin. And we will see you again next week with a brand new episode. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
thank you.